and control, right?
Yes. And so that's when we had that discussion a long time ago about resource wars being a very apt uh, analogy of looking at the game. When is a cooldown traded
Mm.
for something like positioning, time? We made a list of all the resources in the game. Uh, Objective, cooldowns, obviously your ammo, even your health,
Attention.
attention, right? And so, yeah, it's just about different situations you're put in. Like, if you walk into the open and you get shot by a widow from 300 feet away, you just lost the interaction, right? But that could
Yeah.
still be true for a tracer where if Ryan is sitting his shield 30 feet meters away from Tracer, right? And she's sitting there shooting his shield, he still lost the poke trade, technically. He's not gaining anything other than time, right?
Right.
But if the Tracer can play time forever, then she can just shoot your shield until it's broken and then shoot you or your team or
Right. So the key thing there is making sure that she can't play time forever.
yes.
Yeah. That's why when I think of, well, I was given the Poke-Dive-Brawl analogy to Marcel, along with Rush, um, butter, they say, for building economy and control. Um, and I was saying dive is actually a control comp, fundamentally.
Yeah.
Like, you play for maximum interaction, you punish mistakes, you avoid engagements that are unfavorable, and you play to shut down um, other people's win conditions or dodge them until you can execute your own.
It's like saying the Tracer looks at the Cassidy, who's looking to flank on the angle and go for a big ultimate against her team. So she just double blinks in, does 50 damage, but and then uses that second blink to escape. Right? She takes no damage, virtually unreactable on the Cassidy's part. But because he still has to walk more onto the right flank, she's gonna get her blinks back. He's not gonna regen that health, right? Then she can keep doing that until she straight up wins the 1v1.
Right.
So that's when you get into the question of resources, right? Because typically, if you send someone squishy on a flank, you need to send a support as well. So as the tracer, your objective switches because in that moment you actually don't want to trade for that because your blinks are less valuable than quick healing. So you distract the supports and make them look one way, and then once they're looking one way, then you go for the 50 damage on the DPS. And because now the supports are looking away, you know this is how you start playing the attention game because that's ultimately the output that people have is what they're looking at.
Yeah.
So if I'm playing in a lower lobby, I carry those games by being the one guy in everyone's backline that they don't know how to deal with for 20 minutes. And by the time they do, God forbid my team wins. God forbid.
Dude, I was watching him slip. He just lost in balance and slipped.
So, yeah. Dive.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I love in the card games that I do play, what little I do play, I do play control decks. I like the interaction. I like the idea of thinking about what the opponent is going to do and preparing to stuff it or to prevent it in some way.
Yeah.
I like outmaneuvering the other player's intentions. That it feels very good to me.
And when you have a big gap, it looks like Tracer blinking in front of Orion. he goes for the pin, and then she's immediately on his back line.
Yeah. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Poke-Dive-Brawl description, really. It's just it's not complete. It's not a complete one.
Yes.
There's Poke-Dive-Brawl, and then there's the play style that you're taking at any given time, right?
Literally
is
down
also
to the
important.
like second.
Yeah. Now you don't have to get that granular at the beginning. It's far more valuable. You'll get a lot of early quick gains by doing basic assessments of what the other team's playstyle is. Are they trying to run me down? Are they trying to poke me out and build ultimates? Are they trying to... So like there's different descriptions. Even poke. Like Widowmaker, for example, um, is still like a win now kind of, can still be like a win now kind of character. If she lands the headshot and gets the pick, right?
Yes.
And the reason you have to play defensively against Widowmaker is because she is effectively it's a rush strategy. It's I want to win the game right now strategy, right? And you have to completely avoid it, because if you ignore it, she will just win the game right now.
I literally have
Right.
such a funny highlight from earlier this week where in the last like minute of the game on third point Hollywood defense, I go from Cass to Widow, and the enemy pocketed Cass. I grappled up to that high ground on Hollywood third, right? The big balcony. I stood there, their Cass peeked me, he died. He got res from around the corner. He goes back to his corner and then rolls into the sight line again. The tiny room. He rolls into that sight line again, and then he dies again. And that my expectation there was saying, okay, well, he's been able to poke me down this whole game because of his mercy pocket and the damage boost and the healing.
Right.
Now, if I play a character that wins the poke duel, has he adjusted his playstyle? Looks like no. You put them on their toes at least, right? Last minute of the game, they're not expecting that.
Right.
And the perfect execution of that switch means that he may not have even realized I was on Widow the first time that I hooked up there, 15 seconds from spawn, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, he dropped off like a bunch of hay.
No way.
Yeah, I think it's like 4, 5, 6 round bales.
It's pretty good.
Big ones.
Stocking up.
I can't see him, but yeah. Anyways, it's funny for me to think of. It's confusing because in Overwatch we say rush as an alternative for brawl, right?
Yeah.
But a rush strategy, a win now strategy. It's funny for me to think of Widowmaker as a win now
Yes.
character, but that's what she is.
Well, that's why you think about tempo. Because tempo is the distinction of like when the pressure is applied.
Mhm.
That's useful in chess, but it's also useful in Overwatch. Widow is a high tempo character.
Very immediate threat that if you disregard, you will just die.
Literally, the first time he had maybe half a second, a 0.2 second to realize I was on Widow and to like adjust.
Yeah. And she just does it from far away. Whereas, like Reinhardt, also very immediate threat if he's on top of you.
Right.
It's the same thing, but
It's about pressure, and where it's applied.
yeah. Right.
And that was the
So
second part of the
Poke-Dive-Brawl is
conversation.
more a description of what geometry they want to fight on and where they're capable of taking good fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than it is a description of what they're trying. Well,
Well, sometimes
what
it's
playstyle they're overall going to have.
even that is like a slight oversimplification because a widow from 2 feet away could technically still double headshot someone.
Yeah, but that's a high variance play, right?
Yes. As far as we know.
I mean, some players break the rules. They change the game. They fundamentally change the way the game is played because of their mechanical skill, right?
Right.
And we've seen players like that before. And in Overwatch League, there was a bunch of them, fucking demons.
Yeah.
They just pull up and kill you, and it's like the stupidest play of all time. But if they're gonna land their shots in that situation 90% of the time, it's not so fucking stupid now, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
You look
just
at it and you're like, this is a terrible play, and then oh, never mind, he's just winning. And then like now, how do you deal with this? I don't know.
start
This is the
anticipating
new
the
thing.
hook. But then when you start
Yeah.
anticipating the hook, he's just playing main. So like
Yeah.
there's all sorts of counterplay. And that's what keeps us coming back.
Yep.
You only find what's true in the moment, right? If you win, you theoretically don't know how you could lose.
Yeah. So here's another thing. That's the other thing to teach the players, other than just Poke-Dive-Brawl. It's win now, win later, or prevent the other guy from winning.
It's
And I
just
would call that,
where pressure is applied.
yeah. But these are like strategies that you can apply to macro,
Yes.
like based on the team comp.
You find your macro to inform your micro. So the more that you
Right.
understand the fundamentals of like the team play, say let's have a full poke team, right? Literally zero variance, and we have a full dive team on the other side. You can very clearly see the principles at their most extreme. And so once you see those interactions, you start to put them together and say, well, what if they're like half poke here, half brawl here, and their Reaper's playing in this position, which enforces this, and because that you can't get a good trade on him. But in that scenario, you could get a good trade, right? That's why it's important to think about the trading of resources, because if you're walking in, shooting people, and forcing Wraith Form, Suzu, Immortality, Nade, for nothing, then you should know that that is the proper play, and that is how you know you're getting value, even if you're not getting kills. But if you find that a tracer's, double blinking into you and forcing all those cooldowns out of you, then that means you have to start thinking about her cooldowns.
Yeah.
Even though you're not playing her, you have to really start to consider what she's capable of, especially in terms of getting stuff out of you. And then you test the limits. You're like, well, what if I do this differently? When this happens, you're like, oh, I just outplayed them, right? You have to find that innovation.
Absolutely. And that's the fun part.
Correct. Correct. So notice the pattern and come up with something else, even if it's just something in the moment. But at
Yeah.
least inform yourself to realize the contradiction is there.
Yeah. And learn the basics of strategy and counter strategy. You understand Poke-Dive-Brawl because you've talked about them with them already,
Yep.
And like that circle of poke beats brawl and dive beats poke and brawl beats dive. That's like it's more nuanced than that, but it's generally applicable, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of exceptions. And some team comps are well equipped to make those exceptions happen frequently, right?
Right.
Um, And sometimes, based on the balance of the game, that circle might not actually be complete. Maybe one of them is too strong, right?
And the only thing you need to remember is that for every rule, there will be an exception.
Right. And we've had periods of time, like for in Overwatch 2, it's been pretty common that Brawl is just a little bit too strong, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. But then the next part is
Perfectly anticipating the engage.
well, so like what your strategy and counter strategy should be based on what the other team is trying to do to you, right?
And that becomes almost a
Poke dive
pseudo
brawl, and
language.
then how do you play the poke dive brawl? As in, I'm listening to Marcel. What was I going to say? Distracted moment.
No, no worries. Yes, Poke-Dive-Brawl. Attention. Understanding those.
If you're in a brawl mirror,
Yes.
right? And let's say you have a Mei and the other team doesn't, then what do you want to do? You want to pull up on them as quickly as possible and enforce that advantage as quickly as possible, right? Like
Right.
wall off the tank, take the fight now before the other team has resources to make the wall less of a factor, right?
Yeah.
So that's an attack. That's an offensive strategy.
Although Mei also
So
provides poke on the front line. Due to being so durable, she can walk up aggressively and force resources on tank.
yeah,
So it's like even then you can start to see the Poke-Dive-Brawl fundamental weaving within itself in the playstyle.
yeah. But we talk about okay, we want to play fast this fight. That's an offensive strategy.
Yes.
Or they have this ultimate. We want to amp speed disengage from it. That's a control strategy. We're preventing them from winning with their play, right? And what if they're trying to disengage from you the whole time? Then you don't actually take the engagement, right? You just play for resources until you build up so much advantage that you can win anyways.
Restabilize.
Yeah. So playing fast, or playing to disengage, or playing to build resources. Right? There's another circle there.
Yeah.
Where playing fast kills the people that are just trying to farm, and loses to people running away. Now, good players will farm and run away, right?
Yeah. It's always and that's where the minutia keeps coming in, right?
Right.
Because you're gonna take one step to the side after turning the corner to escape to hit one shot, and then you turn back around the corner. Like.
Hmm. I heard somebody talk about fencing the other day. Um, I've been fencing a lot recently, but it was a video, and they said, "Okay, so your opponent retreats, and you take a step forward, you advance, and you claimed space,
Yep.
and you're still threatening them. You're maintaining the distance, right? And then they take a step forward, they advance, and you could retreat, but alternatively, you could step offline. So they take a step forward, and you take a step sideways. You maintain the distance, but you didn't actually give up any ground,
Yes.
or you gave up a lot less ground than before. And you're changing the dynamics of the engagement in a way that you are anticipating because you're making the movement, but they're potentially not, right? They're going to have to adapt to this new position, whereas you're prepared for it. And that's off of them taking the initiative and stepping forwards, right?
Yeah. So number one play against most noobs is probably just to step back as they go for the lunge, I'd imagine.
I mean, yeah. But then as the fencers get better, they're not going to give away advantage as they, or they're not going to commit if you step out of distance, right?
Correct. It's
And so
always
stepping
the answer in the
backwards is
moment.
just slowly losing ground until you can't step backwards anymore. You eventually run out of space to walk backwards, right?
Right, right.
But walking around them in a circle, fundamentally does not have that problem, right? You can't run out of space to walk around them in a circle. It's not possible.
But you do have to not get cut off.
Yes. Anyways, that kind of idea.
We didn't have all the bank today all day.
It's cool. It's cool.
Very true.
Everything's human to human competition and interaction is like universal across all
Yeah.
games.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I would say that really transitions into the idea of taking a turn. Even the most fundamental, unit of video game combat, right? It sort of represents how much you can achieve in a certain moment, right? Who has advantage state. And RPGs are very slow. They allow you to make big decisions and take your time to think about it. But these turns in like first-person shooter games like Overwatch, these turns can happen instantly, and you have to make a decision. And that's where
Yes.
you have to realize that because there's an infinite number of decisions, you have to pick the most impactful ones.
Yep. You have to make the most impactful ones, and you have to be making them at a rate comparable to your opponent. Or at least keeping up with them, right?
Yes,
It is-
everyone is getting better. This is like, if you looked at how players played when Overwatch 1 came out, you would have entire matches where people wouldn't even know that Pharah was on the other team as they're getting wiped by her.
Yeah. But that's not my point is that somebody who's making lots of decisions, even if some of them are bad or suboptimal, if they're making lots of decisions and moving around the map a lot, it's just not possible to keep up with them if you're not also making decisions at a similar rate,
Yes. It becomes about frequency of thought in some sense.
and frequency of action, tempo.
So you commit,
Then, of course,
and then you uncommit, and then you step to the side, and then you commit again, and then you uncommit. And you think to yourself, I'm going to make them think I'm going to commit by walking as close to the line as possible. And then because they think I'm committing, then they commit. And because I didn't commit, guess what? I punish them.
and there's lots of barriers to being able to execute this kind of thing, right? Like, you have to understand the strategy and the ideas and the concepts, and then you have to be able to see the lines, right?
Is your boots work?
And then you have to be able to execute at speed.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And that's why there's no such thing as a perfect player. Because you can always have one thing prepared that someone else didn't know.
Yep. And even when you think you've found a perfect player, you'll see another one that does something that makes you go, wow.
At a certain point, at the highest level, you really can't even compare them. They just become their own person as a player. It's fascinating. The real good ones.
Yeah. Not only do you have to understand and be able to see and be able to execute at speed, but you have to have so many reps in it that you can do all of that without taking up all of your cognitive capabilities. so that you can actually think about comms and what other things are happening.
At the end of the day, it's a game about who was more prepared.
Yeah. How can you hear my my shoes?
You lost part of the road.
No, you can't. Not really. My shoes have little. They're like slides, but they have little suction cups on the bottom. I don't really know why.
You want to play some Overwatch?
I'm still over here at the parents' house. They've just now handed me a different smoothie thing.
Oh, nice.
I'll probably go back talking with them, and then I'll come over and play. Yeah,
Okay, I'll
in a
keep
little bit.
assembling the Avengers then. What's
Sounds
it gonna be,
good.
like 30 minutes?
Probably.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.